to be. So like with Beast Philanthropy, we started the channel, we used the money from the channel to feed people, help ease human suffering, and inspiring the younger generation to do good.
So as a part of our mission to make the world a better place, we started the year in Khayelitsha, Cape Town, South Africa to completely rebuild an orphanage, where we saved more than 5,000 children.
Those children would be dead. You have helped me so much. Thank you, thank you.
After this, we began our next project where we gave away 20,000 pairs of shoes to kids in Africa.
Beast Philanthropy, what you have done here at my school is absolutely amazing.
Next, we decided to head to Arizona to the Hopi Foundation, where we donated $2.7 million worth of clothing.
Thank you, MrBeast.
Then we flew to Cambodia to give away 2,000 prosthetic limbs.
What we've experienced is that it's so much more than a limb. We're giving back people their independence, but most important, I realize that we're giving them back their dignity and their self-esteem.
I really thank you.
We then flew to a remote island to power it, install internet, as well as build a bakery. Then off to Kenya to give away electric bikes to water delivery men.
They made work easier.
So easy to ride.
Dan and Darren then flew to the Philippines, where we were able to provide over 160 children with life-changing surgeries. And we're also going to fund 1,000 medical appointments in the future. And finally, we just came from Thailand, where we helped paralyzed dogs run for the first time.
Hi, Darren. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you all for having me.
Before we begin, I want to give some stats on Jimmy and the MrBeast channel, because I think some people in the audience might be familiar with MrBeast through their kids, but not quite understand the scale of what you guys are doing. So Jimmy Donaldson, MrBeast, is the largest digital content creator in the entire world. He has over 500 million followers across all his social channels. And on his YouTube, his main channel, he has over 230 million subscribers and over 40 billion views. In 2023 alone, they added 99 million subscribers to the channel at a growth rate of 154%, which is crazy. And a lot of Jimmy's videos involve philanthropic content. He's given away private islands, Lamborghinis, just stacks of cash to people. So he formalized these efforts into the Beast Philanthropy channel, which you're the executive director of, and you guys are up to 21 million subscribers now. As we saw in the video, you've built 100 wells for people experiencing not access to clean water in Africa. You've donated over $200,000 in school supplies to underfunded schools in the US. I mean, I could go on, but can you tell us a little bit about the overarching mission of Beast Philanthropy and your vision for it?
When Jimmy first approached me and he asked me to start the philanthropy, really what he wanted to do is he realized that he was building a massive platform and he wanted to use it to do good. And when we first discussed it, all we discussed was that we had created a new channel, and 100% of the revenue earned by the channel would be used to fund a food bank, and we had started feeding our local community. And as the channel grew, we hoped to expand that across the country. But it soon became, for a number of reasons, I started pushing for a little bit more diversity in the content, and that was growing our engagement, because I thought that just feeding people and creating content around it was going to get really boring, and the channel wouldn't thrive. So we started increasing our, doing a little bit wider scope of projects, and with that, the engagement on our channel started growing very quickly. But along the way, we started getting emails from parents and all around the world telling us that their kids were starting to behave differently when they were watching the channel. They didn't want a birthday present anymore. They wanted a donation to go to charity, or they wouldn't want to go to a movie on a Saturday. They were asking to go to volunteer events. And we started realizing that the most important thing that Beast Philanthropy was a way to communicate with the young generation and teach them the importance of kindness, generosity, and empathy. if we can do that, if we can, because Jimmy has, last week when I totaled up his total subscribers, 526 million subscribers across the world, we're talking about somebody who has loyalty and dedication from almost every child in the entire world, and they all look up to him, and they all love him, and they all are inspired by him, and they all want to do what he does. And when they see that, you know, kindness and empathy are such a big and important thing for him, and then they see us going out and doing things, you know, every 3 weeks we post a new video on the Philanthropy channel, they start wanting to emulate the behavior, and they're asking their parents to box up the leftover food and go give it out to homeless people and stuff like that. And we realized along the way that that was going to be the most important thing that Beast Philanthropy was, is a vehicle to inspire kids all around the world to start caring a little bit more than they do, and start becoming active in solving some of the problems that humanity faces. And that we've been extremely successful with it. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing that we'll do. We, last year, can reasonably say we built 120 wells in Africa. That's 500,000 people now have clean drinking water. We fed 11 million meals last year. That's a few 100,000 extra people that got to eat. So even if we said that we helped 1 million people last year, which is a stretch, 1 million divided by 8 billion isn't very much. We're not moving the needle, you know, across the world. We help in small pockets and communities, but we can inspire other people to get involved. And when they start doing that, then we'll see real change at a scale and in a sustainable way through their actions, not through ours.
I definitely want to get into the impact that you guys are having on the next generation of kids. But first, can you tell us a little bit how you got involved with this in the first place? Because your background is not in social media.
No, it's a complete opposite. I'm actually really awkward and uncomfortable on camera and speaking. So, I had been a real estate developer, and at some point I started questioning, is making more money making me any happier? And the answer was no. You know, you get to a point where if you buy another car, it's just another car. It's not a linear progression. And I wasn't enjoying my work, and I wasn't really enjoying my life as much as I thought it could be. And in 2012, I decided to sell the company and get into exclusively doing charity work. I'd started an animal rescue shelter in 2002, and we had grown it to a very large, it's the biggest no-cage, no-kill in the southeastern United States. And I was getting immense joy from that. And I'm also a skydiver, and I'm a terrible skydiver. I crash into the ground every time I jump. And I went up to North Carolina, and I went jumping there, and I landed like I normally do, but they hadn't seen me land, so they thought that I'd killed myself, and they came running up, and one of the guys that came running up landed up becoming the CEO of the Beast Group. And when Jimmy was trying to, when he decided he wanted to start a charity, that guy had said, you need to meet this guy. You know, he's accomplished a lot of things in his life, but he walked away from it all to do charity work. And they called me up to come meet Jimmy, and you know, 5 minutes after I met him, he's like, you're going to start Beast Philanthropy for me. And I was like, oh no, I'm not. But as always, Jimmy gets what he wants. So, you know, here I am.
So you mentioned earlier that philanthropy content on the internet can be a little bit boring. What do you think that Beast Philanthropy is doing differently that makes people want to watch and stay involved?
When we first started, and there's still a little bit of a prevailing belief that positive content doesn't get engagement. And when we first contemplated the project, we went to some of the top analysts in the world. I don't know if you guys realize how big YouTube has become, you know, but there's a lot of people putting a lot of effort into figuring out what trends are going, what keywords work, what colors work in the thumbnails, stuff like that. And We went to 4 of them independently and we asked them what they thought about a charity-based channel. And all 4 of us told us that it would be a complete failure, that people don't care about charity on social media, that they consider it to be boring and depressing. And one thing that the one guy said to me, he said, you know, people come to social media because they're bored and they want to be entertained. They don't want to be lectured to or made to feel bad. But it was the word entertained that I locked onto. And I'm like, okay, if we can figure out a way to make an entertaining video that a person will choose to watch because they enjoy the content, and we get to convey a message more as a subtext instead of forcing it down their throat with statistics and bullet points like every other charity is trying to do, no wonder they don't get engagement. Their stuff is really boring. But we try not to do that. We try to we try to create a real empathetic connection with the audience and the people that are the ones that we are helping, so that the audience cares about the people that they see on screen, just 1 or 2 characters. We don't go and say there's 1.5 billion kids that don't have clean drinking water in the world. We show them a handful of kids, and we get them to like those kids, and then we show those kids drinking dirty river water. There's an empathetic human connection that they start feeling towards those kids, and they care about those kids. And then we show them that there is a solution, and then we tell them there's 1.5 billion other people just like this that don't have water to drink. And then we build the wells, and we celebrate the wells opening and water splashing everywhere, so that we give them an uplifting message. It's not a depressing message, but in doing so, we manage to educate them. And we also get to inspire them without them even realizing. We've tricked them into the whole thing by entertaining them. We've been very, very successful. We've only had the channel for 3 years, but I looked just while we were backstage. Every single second, and this is just a normal Tuesday, but right now, every second, 30 people start watching a Beast Philanthropy video. We're getting 108,000 views an hour right now, and this is a dormant period for us because we haven't posted in over a week. So the engagement is there, and we're getting 60 or 70 million views a month on the Beast Philanthropy channel. That's 60 or 70 million times that we get to reinforce a positive message, to a massive audience around the world.
You mentioned to me earlier some cool stats about the Super Bowl in comparison to MrBeast's viewers on the channel. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So the Super Bowl's coming up next month. Everybody knows what a big event it is. Last year, the global viewership for the Super Bowl was 112 million people. Last year, our global viewership was 20,151,000,000 on the main MrBeast channel. That's 180 times bigger than the Super Bowl. If you take every person that has ever watched the Super Bowl since 1967, that's 4 billion people. That's 11% of the number of views that we have got in the last 3 years. We get last month we got 2.3 billion views on the main channel. That means that it takes less than 2 months for us to exceed the viewership of every single person that has ever watched the Super Bowl in its history. These numbers are staggering. And when you start realizing, if you sit in a room like this, and I don't know if there's 1,500 people in the room over here, but that, in 30 minutes, we'll have 45,000 people if we kept on changing the audience over here. But we're getting 2 to 3 times that every hour of every day. And we're in 14 languages across the world now, so it's not just, English speaking. We're spreading all over the world and adding new languages every month. We posted our very first video in China last week, so we're nowhere near peaking in growth.
How do you measure the impact you're having on these kids?
It's hard to measure it directly because, but we get anecdotally, I get so much feedback from parents that are relaying stories about what their kids are doing. But we're actually, one of the things that we are working on is developing an app where kids, it's a game that they play, but the only way that they can play is to volunteer, donate money or fundraise, and they get all sorts of points, and it's very gamified, and they compete against their friends, and they can get into peer groups and, compete together. It's, but that will give us a much more direct way to measure the impact that we are having.
So the projects that you do are entirely funded by YouTube and the videos and the views that you get. Can you explain for the audience how that works?
Even though, it's funny because by any measure we've got one of the most successful channels. The Beast Philanthropy channel is one of the most successful in the world, but working for MrBeast, it feels insignificant in the group. But when we can pull an audience of 30 million viewers per video, a lot of sponsors will pay, well to be featured in the video. And so we take 100% of the revenue that we earn, all of the AdSense, all of the merch sales, and all of the sponsorship. And that is what goes, all of it goes into the philanthropy, and that's what we use to pay for building hospitals or wells or schools or housing, or, we feed 1.5 million people a month now. But it's all generated off the channel revenue. But we have hit a point where the organic growth of the channel is constraining the opportunity that we have in front of us to, we have unprecedented access. This has never happened, as far as I know, in history, where somebody has been this influential and wanted to use it in such a positive way. And we are now, talking to foundations and some philanthropists and looking for outside funding, but it's a very new chapter for us.
Since you guys are growing so fast, what would you say is your biggest challenge?
It's just keeping up with the growth. It's not linear, so I'll always feel behind the ball, and I'll add a bunch of staff, anticipating where I'll be in 3 months, and when we get there in 3 months, I should have added double the staff, and it just feels like we're constantly behind in developing the structure to take advantage of the growth that we have. It feels like you're building an airplane while you're flying it. So, but it's a great problem to have. I'm not sad about it.
I'm sure a lot of people in the audience can relate to that feeling. And we have a lot of financial professionals in the audience today. I was wondering if you have any advice for them on how they can drive engagement with their target audiences.
The key word is entertainment. Don't make a video that bores people. When you get on social media nowadays, it's not like watching TV or watching a movie where you sit down and you commit to something for a half an hour. When you get on, when you go to YouTube.com, the algorithm is going to pick 16 or 12 videos that it knows that you have an interest in, and each one of those is begging for you to click on it. So, first of all, the thumbnail and the title are two of the most important things that you're going to put on there. Don't just pick a random frame from the video. Give it an interest. Don't say this conference, name something or other. Nobody's going to click on that. Give them a reason to click on your video, because you could make the best video ever, and if nobody clicks on it, they don't see it. And then when you get into the video, keep that video interesting and entertaining and exciting. And if you show it to somebody else, you might think it's a great video, but show it to a 12-year-old, and the minute they pick up their phone and start looking at it, you know that it's not a good video. You've got to make a change at that point because you've lost their interest. And on YouTube, there's a whole bunch of other videos on the side over there that are begging for your attention. So the second you lose a person's attention, they abandon the video.
When you guys post a video, what is the most important metrics you're looking for to determine if that video is a success or not?
Well, you've got to do a little bit of a dance with the algorithm and understand how the YouTube algorithm promotes videos. But the two things that the algorithm looks at first is the click-through rate, how many people are clicking to start the video, and then it measures something called the average view duration. And if people are watching 30 seconds and then abandoning the video, the algorithm decides that it's a boring video. They want to optimize for time on the platform from the viewers, and it will stop offering people the opportunity. And if it stops offering it, your video is not going to get any views. So you got to learn how to play with the algorithm nicely. But Jimmy brought up a really good point. He always says, whenever you ask questions about the algorithm, just substitute the word audience for algorithm. You've got to give your audience something that they're going to engage in and enjoy and stick with.
I want to talk a little bit about one of the organizations that you guys are working with for an upcoming video, because last week I was lucky enough to go meet Darren in person in Atlanta, and we visited the Ron Clark Academy, which you guys are going to do a video on in the next couple of months. And it was the most amazing school I've ever been to in my entire life. It might be the best school on the entire planet. We went into the 5th grade math class, and the kids were standing up, collaborating with each other. They were doing advanced geometry and advanced algebra. As we walked down the hall, every single student came up, shook our hand, introduced themselves. So we were thinking that there'd be no better way to have the audience learn a little bit more about the great work they're doing at the Ron Clark Academy than to bring Ron out himself. So please welcome Ron Clark.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Ron. Thanks for joining us.
Thrilled to be here. Thank you.
So after I went home, after I saw your school, I was trying to explain to my friends and family what I saw, and I truly could not find the words. So I think it'd be better if we just show everyone a clip. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Great.
What are you guys doing here today?
We're just getting a tour and checking this place out. I've never seen a school like this in my life. It's amazing.
Josiah.
Hi, Josiah. Ron, nice to meet you.
So Ron, what's going on here? Are you teaching in sign language?
Yes, sort of. So we really believe in movement, energy, excitement in classrooms. My team and I visited all 50 states. We went to 300 school systems, and it's boring. I know some of y'all got kids in schools. They're bored to death right now, and we're dealing with the TikTok generation. So kids these days, you got 1 second, entertain me, and in schools, they're just zoned out. So we wanted to find a way to bring movement, energy, excitement to the classroom, and that's what we do.
Amazing. When we were there, you told me something about how you always teach to the smartest kid in the class. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. So in America, we have a dumbed-down education system. In terms of math and science scores, the United States is ranked 41st in the world. Now, we're #1 economy, #1 military, #1 infrastructure. But when we are 41st in the world in terms of math and science test scores, that's the biggest indicator of where our country is going to be. And so we take a different approach at our school. What we do is we look at our class, we find the brightest kid, and that's who we teach to. We are firing everything up to focus on the gifted kid, but then the goal is to keep every kid engaged. And the idea is that if every kid's engaged, then test scores for all the kids will increase. When I started teaching 30 years ago in North Carolina, I'm from the country. You know, I can probably tell when I open my mouth, the tractor falls out. But I'm from the middle of nowhere. When I first started teaching, I put up this big Venn diagram. And I said, kids, what's the difference and the similarities in World War I and World War II? And the kids were like this. And I said, all right, repeat after me. World War I. And they're like, World War I. And I said, 1914 to 1918. World War II. And they're like, World War II. And I was like, 1939 to 1945. I just did it a few times, and there was no response from the kids. But the next day, I was eating lunch with the students. You got to eat with the kids every day and eat with the discipline problems because they are funny at lunch. And so I was eating with the kids, and then at the end of the table, I heard kids going, 1914 to 1918. And I was like, ah! I was like, they liked the little song. Then when I graded their test, they all got the years right. And so what I learned is that as long as I make it fun, engaging, build relationships, I can make it as hard as I want, and the kids will get there. So at our school, we've had a lot of success with challenging the gifted kids, but then firing it up. Because a lot of your students are in school right now, and they're bored. They're not being challenged, and we're 41st in the world. So our goal is to be a disruptor in education and show people what it should be and what it could be like.
You guys also have a teacher training program. Can you tell everyone how that works and how many teachers you've trained?
This is how we're making a revolution. So we started our school 17 years ago. We're in an old, nasty factory. First of all, I started teaching in North Carolina, and my methods were working there. We got invited to the White House 3 different years to be honored for programs and the way I was teaching. Then I saw this TV show about schools in Harlem in New York City that have violence and overcrowded classrooms. And I had a feeling in my heart, and I said, I'm gonna go up there and teach in Harlem. I went to New York City, found the school, started teaching there. They made a movie about it. Matthew Perry, rest his soul, played me in the movie called The Ron Clark Story. I got to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show. I won the American Teacher of the Year Award, and Oprah told me to write a book. So I wrote a book called The Essential 55, which is about 55 expectations I have for my students. When the book came out, all the money went to convert this old, nasty factory in Atlanta, Georgia, into our school. And so, but not only do we affect the lives of our students, we open our doors and we invite educators from all over. Last week we had 800 educators that come from all 50 states last week, and they come from around the world, China, Finland, Russia, India. They come from all over the world to see what we do. They learn about our methods in our classrooms, then they take it back to their schools. We are making a revolution. We're showing people what it can be like. And to give you one example, there was this school in North Carolina, Chocowinity, primary school. They were ranked last in the county in test scores. So 8 years ago, they started coming to us for training in Atlanta. And this year, they're named the #2 performing school in the whole state of North Carolina. So they went from the last in their county to #2 in their whole state. There was a teacher called Marissa Torres in Texas. She went to her principal and said, I quit. I can't do this no more. And he said, don't quit in December. If you'll stay till the end of the year, I'll send you to RCA for a conference. She said, deal. So she came to our school, and after 2 days, she came up to us and she was crying. She said, y'all have shown me what classes should look like, how to work with parents, how to handle discipline problems. This was powerful for me. I'm going to be a better teacher. In 1 year's time, she was named the Texas Teacher of the Year. So what we do at our school, those are 2 examples of hundreds of thousands of people who come to learn from us and take our methods back. We are showing people how to do it the right way, and we're the only place in the world, in Atlanta, where you can come to get it. That's why people from all over the world come to learn from us.
So, Darren, can you tell us a little bit about what the video on the channel is going to look like?
Well, when I said to you guys, you entertain people to get a message across instead of talking about, Ron is incredible. And I think the thing, if you go to the school over there and you meet any of the kids, if you're walking down the hallway, they come up to you, they put their hand out, they shake your hand. They're the most confident, happy kids I've ever met. But this is a perfect story for us because, A, we get to tell a story that encourages and inspires the kids that are watching it. A lot of the kids that Ron is working with came with discipline problems or learning problems or from less resource backgrounds. But every single one of them is exceptional, and they are taking normal kids and turning them into exceptional people that are going to Harvard and Yale and Princeton. And when you find a story like that, I want to make a video on it to encourage the people that are watching it to start believing in themselves and know that they can do better if they start believing in themselves, but also to highlight the work that Ron is doing and help him build it, because Ron is starting a revolution. Ron is exactly what we want to use our platform to draw attention to people who aren't willing to accept the mundane failures that we've all become, apathetic about and just accepted that, yeah, education sucks. It doesn't, and Ron is proving that it doesn't, and that was why it was such a perfect story for our channel. And then the revenue that we make on it was enough that we could fly, a couple hundred teachers in from around the country ourselves and have them attend the RCA, and they can take it back to their schools.
So when can we expect to see the video on the channel?
It's scheduled for March 24th. It will be one of my favorites. It's going to be an exceptional one.
Amazing. Everyone mark your calendars, March 24th. And while you're at the conference this week, where can everyone find you? How can they get connected?
Sure, well, you could just go to the app and you could just message me there. Because I'm going to tell y'all want to be blown away? You want to see something that will change your life? If you're in Atlanta, give me 45 minutes to walk you through our school. We have flying dragons, trapdoors, secret passageways. But when I take you in the classes and you see we have found a solution to education's problems in America, We just need to spread the word and need people to help us. We're a nonprofit. If you're interested in learning, let me give you a 45-minute tour, and you can decide for yourself if you want to volunteer your time or resources or spread the word for us. Just message me there, and also our school website is just ronclarkacademy.com if you want to learn more.
Awesome. Darren?
You can reach me through the app or find me on YouTube at the Beast Philanthropy channel. But I'll be around for the next couple of days, and I'm happy to meet with anybody and answer any questions.
Awesome. I would highly encourage everyone, if you're in Atlanta, to go visit Ron Clark, even if just for fun, because it's a really cool experience.
But we have slides.
They do. They have
you
slides.
Have to shoot, the way you have to exit is you go shooting down slides, and the slides are symbols. We say a lot of businesses and schools are just taking the stairs, but we're saying be a disruptor, be different, get ahead of everything, let's go. But when you get to the bottom, you get a sticker that says you've been slide certified.
I have been slide certified, in case
important.
anyone was wondering. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. It was such an honor to have you both on stage with me. Give it up for Ron and Darren.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.